Hi everyone, how's everyone doing? So what I want to talk about in this video is this idea of a worry habit and some tips. I'm going to give you 9 tips to defeat this worrying habit that people have. So the worry habit is really just the idea that if you worry about something and then once you resolve that particular worry, you replace it with another worry and then it just continues. So I talked in a YouTube video that I made about the rabbit hole of worries, and I think I got that from somewhere as well. And it's a similar thing where like some people just can't stop worrying, and it's similar with stress as well, and then it becomes a habit. So what that means is no matter what strategies are put in place, no matter if you resolve it, it still becomes a habit because it's something that you've introduced and that you've then just continued to introduce more and more worries into it. So there is a book which is called Breaking the Worry Habit, and I think it's by Dale Carnegie, or it's I think there's a few different books. Some are with the same title, so there's a few different authors. And all I want to give you is 9 tips, and these were taken partly from the book, partly from the work that I do with the clients I work with. And the first one is to practice meditation or mindfulness. And the reason for that is because mindfulness and meditation are ways to help your brain rest and relax. So if you practice these habits as part of your routine, you can do this daily or weekly. It means that you're putting your brain in the space to be able to, instead of worrying, to come up with either solutions, but it's also meaning that you are creating rest rather than clutter of like just having constant worrying all the time. When you worry all the time, your brain is working overtime. So using mindfulness or meditation is just a way of relaxing. The second thing is to be present, focus on the present instead of like the past and the future. That's mainly why people are either anxious or worrying. They're worrying about something that happened weeks ago, months ago, years ago, or they're focused on what could happen in the future. You don't have any control over what's going to happen in the future. So I'm not saying it's pointless worrying about it. We can kind of make plans for the future. We can set goals. We can, have ideas of what we would like to happen. If you're in a relationship, you're not just going to be always focused on what's going on right now. You're probably thinking about, okay, maybe I want to marry this person one day. Maybe we want to have children. So it's not a bad thing. But when you're worrying about something that hasn't happened, you're already saying that it's not going to happen, or that it's going to be bad, it's going to be negative, because that's the only reason you're worrying about it. So it's bringing yourself back and saying, okay, well, in the present moment, what's going on right now? What do I have to worry about right now? And if there is something you have to worry about, it's taking action and solving that, but not adding other things about the future to that. The third thing is exercise. So exercise, similar to meditation and mindfulness, is just a way of your body then becoming more relaxed. So with the first one, with mindfulness and meditation, it means that you are getting your brain in a state of relaxation. With exercise, it means you are releasing all of that stress, all of that tension, and you're also getting your body in a better place, where I'm not saying it's going to mean that you're not going to worry, but it just means that you are kind of getting your mind and your body on the same page, really, to say, okay, well, we can be resilient to some of the stress and the worry that's coming, and we can tackle it in a different way. And the fourth one is to limit exposure to stress. Now, that's not easy to do, because there are lots of times where stress just comes your way. There's lots of times where things do that you're not expecting do cause you to worry. We're human beings, so we're going to worry about things. But what it's saying really is you need to limit your exposure to stressful situations. There's lots of things you can do. You can limit your exposure to people that are quite, I don't want to be around people that are always worrying, or that are always looking at the negative, glass half empty type people. So you can limit the people that you're around. You can limit the places that you go to that are stressful. You can limit the things that you're watching that are stressful. So there's lots of control you have over importing stress into your life or keeping stress out of your life. That will then lead you to worry less, because if you've already someone that worries a lot, the last thing you need to do is to switch on the TV and be watching like news stories about like the budget and about crisis. Everything has crisis at the end of it these days, so that's not really going to help you if you're already worrying, so you can limit some of that. The fifth thing is to practice gratitude, and that's just it, straightforward really, is just be grateful for the things you have. It's an easy thing to do, but I'd say that it's and quite simple, but it's not something that most people think about. If you're kind of in a habit loop where you are constantly worrying, the last thing you do is sit down and think, okay, well, I'm grateful for this or I'm grateful for that, because you're too busy worrying about all the things that you need to have or that you don't have or that have gone wrong. So sometimes sitting back and thinking, what am I actually grateful for right now? And there's a practice where you can, every single day, you can say at least 3 things before you go to bed that you're grateful for. I've found that you usually will be able to think of more than 3. You'll probably end up getting to about 100. If you start with little things, I'm grateful that I have food, I'm grateful that I have shelter, I'm grateful that I've got no health conditions, I'm grateful that I'm in a good job, I'm grateful that you could go on and on. So even if you can think of 3, then that sometimes helps. The 6th thing is to share your worries. So you can either share them with someone close to you who you trust, you can share them with a counsellor, you can share them with anyone really. You can even just write them down in a journal, and that doesn't mean you're sharing it with a person, but by writing it down, it means it's off your mind. So sharing your worries, same as sharing how you're feeling. There's obviously lots of theory around that once a problem shared is a problem halved. So get used to sort of expressing how you're feeling, but sharing it with the right people. Then the next 2 really are similar, and it's about setting realistic expectations. What is the thing that you're worrying about, and are you being realistic or are you kind of catastrophizing? And then the next thing is to accept what you can't control. There's always going to be things that come out of nowhere, things that are out of your control, and no matter how much you worry about them, it's not going to have any impact, because it's like you can't do anything about it. That is probably the hardest thing for most people to accept, that there are things that you can't do anything about, but then people will still worry about them. And I'm not saying it's an easy thing to do, to not worry about your child's future, to not worry about the environment, or to not worry about like the world or certain things that are happening, or to not worry about a new law that has been brought in, or a new thing that is completely out of your control, but you're still going to be affected by it. But the point is, it's acceptance, is saying, well, I'm not happy with this thing, but I know that I can't control it. I can't control whether people are going to put recycle or not, so therefore there's going to be like an impact on the environment. I can't control whether the government is going to come in and introduce a new law, introduce a new policy that is going to impact directly on me. It's still going to affect you. So you're not like going to just say I'm happy with it, but also worrying about it isn't going to change it. So it's just saying, sometimes just accept, I'm not happy with this, I don't like this, but I'm accepting that it's outside of my control. So those are just some brief things that you can do to create, to break the worry habit. I would recommend the book if it's something you're interested in, and I'll probably make a few more videos around this topic because it is something that comes up a lot for the clients I work with. Feel free to leave your comments. Also feel free to share this with others if you think they'll benefit. Thanks for watching. Bye.